Welcome to If I Was Your Therapist,
where we talk about your favorite Black movies.
that pull at all our heartstrings.
And give our therapeutic advice.
So, guys, today we are talking about Waiting to Exhale. This was such a great movie. It was an opportunity for us to see Black women, friendship, us to see like connectedness, love, heartbreak. I mean, all the elements of our lives as Black women. It was such a beautiful movie to watch. And so I want to kick off with talking about Savannah. So Savannah played by Whitney Houston. She was an interesting character to me. So there is this moment where she goes out and I think it's like New Year's, and she's excited, and she meets this guy, and I guess he's like smelling nice, and you see her exhale. And then shortly thereafter, it is a lot of foolishness that pops off where his wife that she knows nothing about pops up. And it's just a lot of like, it felt like Savannah could not just have her own man. And so that was kind of disappointing for me to see. Also, one thing that stood out to me is the conversation that her mom was having with her, where she says, she's urging her, encouraging her to be with this married man. And so in that moment, I'm like, mom has to have some issues that she has dealt with in her own life for her to recommend for her daughter to explore this relationship. And so I really like the way that Savannah stood up for herself, and she was like, Mom, I love you, but I'm not doing that. So that was really good to see her, assert herself in that way. I felt like Savannah was kind of like the glue. Like, she was always showing up for the people in her life. She really showed up for Layla Roche. Is that her last name? Layla Roche. She showed up for her and saying, that man is stole your wallet. Like, your wallet ain't missing. He stole it. And so to me, that was her like really encouraging her friend to say, look here, friend, like, stop doing this. Like, you don't need to be dealing with this. I must say crackhead, but I feel like it was something else that he was using, cokehead maybe. So she's really challenged her friend to explore that. Bernadette, like, she really showed up for Bernadette when Bernadette was distraught, going through, the challenges that she faced in the movie. I felt like Savannah did a really great job of being there for her friend. So Savannah was a great friend. She challenged the people around her to show up as their best self. But one thing I would, if I was working with Savannah, one thing that I would encourage her to do is dig a little bit deeper into her self-worth, because she ended up actually going out with the guy that was married. Like, she didn't like straight up cut it off from the beginning. And so we have to ask ourselves, what is going on internally inside her that they even had this much back and forth. Now, ultimately, she did kick him to the curb. She threw the ice on him, and she wasn't having it ultimately. But just for her to have entertained it as long as she did, it just strikes me as it may be some self-worth issues there. So I would encourage Savannah to believe that it's possible to have a healthy relationship, to have a relationship where she has her own man and is not competing for his attention with anyone. What are you guys' thoughts about Savannah?
I enjoyed Savannah in the movie. She was probably one of the least problematic characters in the movie. She just ultimately wanted love. And like you said, that scene about her standing up to her mom was everything. Of like, Mom, if you think this, you be with him, because I'm worth better than that. I'm worth more than that. So I enjoyed that about her. Like you said, our work together would look very similar, of helping you to kind of figure out, what do you want? Who do you want? Why do you want them? How will you find them? It will be a lot of coaching around where to find the guy that you're looking for, and what is the relationship model that you would like. Because you can't go too far with a man that's married. and then helping her to understand that she has options. Like a lot of times when people find themselves in affairs, it's because there's a limiting belief that this is all that is available to me right now. It's going to be hard to find somebody better than this person who is already taken. And as therapists and coaches, we know we're working to fight that thing every day of those limiting beliefs of absolutely not. That's what you're telling yourself. And as a result of you telling yourself, that's how you're showing up in the world. And those are the results that you're going to get every time.
Yeah, I really appreciate everyone speaking on the relationship dynamic between her and her mom. That's not a good man, Savannah, actually. How about that? Because you trying to tell her that? No, it's not. What I really appreciate about Savannah character is out of all the women, I believe she had the most empowerment. When I think about that meme of the lady walking up the steps and she's letting go of the bags, I feel like whatever that burden her mom was trying to bestow upon her, baby, you keep that. Whatever you told yourself that you needed to do, what level of settling you needed to endure to bag a man, to have a man, it ain't that deep for me. It's not that for me. So I really appreciate, and I would affirm her in therapy during that, because even your friends ain't even understood that yet. Everybody was at their different standpoint and a different level in this game of finding love and finding themselves and that self-worth. So I would really appreciate or affirm her in the work that she's already done, being able to tell her, no, mom, you're wrong. This man is finessing me. He keep telling me he leaving. Babe, I just heard him on the patio, and that he ain't finna end. He trying to wait for her to go on the glory. He trying to go out the easy way. He ain't trying to go the hard way or have that uncomfortable conversation, and that's not what I deem as a worthy man. Nor is a man that can't stroke me for a long period of time. She was having not the best luck with men, but she was still trying. She was still moving forward. So I applaud her in that for sure.
Whitney Houston in this moment was super spicy in this movie, if y'all remember. Remember when she was at dinner with him, and I think, what did she pour a drink on him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Poured a drink on him and told him off. What I loved about her was, even in the midst of her standing up for herself and establishing her boundaries really hard and stern, she remained a soft woman. She bust her mama out, hung up on her mama's face, and called back and said, Mama, I'm sorry, but I mean what I say. And as somebody working with her, I would affirm that behavior every time. It is okay to establish your boundary. It's okay to be clear about your expectations. And it's okay to apologize when you know that you may have overstepped a boundary between you and somebody in that relationship. How many of us have hung up on our mom or said something crazy to our mom and got to turn right back around and be like, now, I'm sorry for what I said, but I meant to say it that way. Some of us don't even say anything. We never apologize. We never come back. We wait days and weeks before we go back. I was very impressed with the way she was able to swallow her pride immediately and say, I shouldn't have said it that way, but I mean what I say. So I like that.
I like that as well. All right, let's get into our next character, Miss Cookie.
Okay, so the next character we're going to dive into is Miss Gloria, with that walk across the street. You hear me? You look back, make sure they watching. What I really appreciate about Miss Gloria character was she resembled that waiting empty nester. Her son was about to go to school, and what I thought was very interesting about her character was this is that mother that has only known motherhood more than she's known womanhood. So now she really they're kind of mixed in, kind of like Maxine from Soul Food. But what I thought was very dangerous in a way, or was a risk with what she was doing, is she was in the process of dimming her son's life in lieu of being alone. Baby, go find you a man, because your son ain't it. For a lack of a better way to say that, because a lot of parents get to doing that, where your son or your child is growing up, they're wanting to venture off, they're wanting to go see the world, explore what it all has to offer. He was trying to go across out the country, And she was like, are you sure? Do you think that's a good idea? Baby, yes. If that was you and you was his age, you would want to go and do that. But you're thinking about being alone. It had even got to a point where he wasn't even living in the same house. He was living in a pool house in the backyard because their egos, their personalities had outgrown one another. But instead of her realizing that's what was going on, she said, you know what? I'm going to give you a false reality of adulthood and let you live in this backyard, in this pool house. But then I'm going to be upset when you have somebody back there doing grown folks activities because I gave you this false hope of reality. This is adulthood is out there. You grown up to get lit on. You grown up to pay your own bills in a house to do that. Not in my backyard. So he said, all right, fine. I'm going to move out. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. What really also stuck out to me about Gloria's character was her baby daddy. Baby, you kept that man in the back pocket. You hear me? You said, I only need that itch scratch once every 6 months and he know what to scratch. And that's all I need. I don't need a man. I got my son. Red flag number 17, baby. What are we doing? What are we doing? No, you can't. Your son can't ever itch that scratch. And he shouldn't be feeling that void that a man, grown man that can pay his own bills, should be feeling. So I think a lot of the work that I would do with Gloria is, yeah, you got a man now, but let's work on this self-esteem. Let's work on who you are as a woman. Let's build that up so that with or without this new man, you can still move forward. What are your hobbies? What do you like and what you don't like? Because I understand you and your homegirls, y'all might not always can kick it. When you get older in life, y'all can hang out every weekend like you want to. But baby, do you like to knit? How are you with crocheting? You want to start some cooking classes? It's a passive income out here now. You can get to it. So really, working with her to see who she wants to be as a woman and not relying on a relationship. What are you guys looking to do?
I really liked that she can cook. I mean, she threw down. She had the neighbor across the street and he had just moved in and she was just like, I haven't cooked much, just ham hocks, collard greens, neck bone. I mean, homegirl can cook. So I can really see her being a great wife. She just needs to let go, like you said, of that baby daddy because he had moved on with his life and in a different type of relationship where she had to just move on with her life. So
he wasn't even into her swirl no more. He liked it a whole nother sex. He was into something, but she was willing to be like, you still can't itch and scratch, and I said to myself, baby, we was in therapy, baby. How did you feel when you had to say that? Let's talk about that because we don't never want to get to that feeling again.
What do you do when you have that itch? You need to be held. You need some companionship. And it's to the place of going back to that familiar place. I think for her, one of the biggest things that I saw as a struggle was her holding on to old beliefs in the past. I think another part of her that wanted to keep her son right at the hip was fear of him living a life that she had no idea could be lived. He was going, I believe, to Spain. He was going somewhere far away. And so what is she then to do if she's never had that experience before? So you're used to having him there. And then you were used to your ex being that man for you. So that can be tough. We will talk about what it looks like to transition out of the old and create a new life for you.
And you got a good point. I'm be quiet after this. The fact that who he was fooling around with in that back, her son, didn't look nothing like her. That niched away at that ego too. The man I've been with, the man I'm giving my body to, don't want nothing that look like me. My son don't want nothing that look like me. What's wrong with me? What's the kid in my life not digging me no more? What am I doing wrong? So it's that there's where a lot of work lies.
Yes. And with the neighbor, I mean, it was literally, I remember as a young girl watching that movie, like that man don't even got to try hard. He just got to be a man moving close by for her to be excited. And that happens with some of clients that we work with, where they don't see themselves as beautiful because of one reason or the next. They don't see themselves as worthy because, oh, you're a single mom, or oh, you may be a little fluffy around certain places. So it's not that just confidence. Oh, I wonder, is he looking at me? Oh my God, he is. And that nervousness of somebody finding you attractive, that might have been new for her. So that might have been a budding new experience that we would capitalize on. Of somebody is finding you attractive because you are. Just because someone else has decided to turn their back and go for the other kind has very little to do with you and more to do with him and his truth.
Exactly.
I'm curious about y'all's thoughts of her like pursuing him, because I don't know if I have that in me to just like go up to a man and just like say, "Hey, how you doing?" And so that it seemed like that took some confidence to just like go up to him and just introduce herself. And what did y'all think about that part?
I honestly think that comes with age. I think that confidence comes with that level of security comes with age. I feel like it's now never. Like, how you hear, or sometimes even in research shows, when people date above 50, they're going to have sex quicker. They're going to get married quicker. They're going to go start traveling. They're going to give that level of trust. That process is amplified, but it is amplified in a more positive light because they're asking the right questions. They're already somewhat familiar with who they are, what they like, what they don't like. They know how to ask the questions to get the real answers that they want. So I think they're able to weed out what a lot of younger people, even us, would look at things and say, I don't know how I feel about what I'm gonna look like, how that's gonna make him feel if I ask that, if I say this, or if I make this first move, this and third. Where when you get after 50, or when you get closer to 50, it is what it is. If he like it or he don't. And if he don't like it, cool, you wasting my time, so go and get out my face. So the next man who do like it can go on slide into this position. That sounds real intense, but that ain't mean like that. Go ahead.
I agree Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, of her probably feeling like, what is this gonna be? And it's okay if it's not that, but I'm not worried about what you're thinking in this moment. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna approach you. So it is a bit not contradictory, but it's just different. It's different because in some lights I see her as a woman who is struggling with her confidence, and then you have moments like that where she like, it's a man across the street, like she sniffed him out, like, I smell men. Okay, went outside, I see you, and made the move. And then gave him hell throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, right. Because and that's another thing. A lot of people. That's a great point. Some work to be done. After you get the man, what's next? You healed. Are you really healed? Are you hurt? Yeah. Are you still hurting? Is he gonna feel that? Are you gonna put him through what your baby daddy just took you through? Now you finna be trying his sexuality, or is you gonna put him through what your son just put you through? Are you gonna leave me? Are you gonna be, baby? That's why I said we got to work on you, even if the relationship don't work out.
Yes, because who are you gonna be if and when it ends? So absolutely. Let's talk about one of the most interesting people in this movie is Miss Robin, played by Layla. What's her last name, Doc?
Richardson, wasn't it?
Okay. Anyway, so we have Robin. She was very interesting in this movie. She was, drop dead gorgeous. Okay.
Gorgeous.
Body was tea, outfits was tea. Every scene, she's killing it. So you would think, oh, men are falling over to be with her. But as you watch the movie, she is constantly in unsatisfying, emotionally unavailable, just with unsuitable men. These relationships are horrible relationship. She has 3 main men that she's with. You got Troy, Michael, and Russell. And neither one of them can provide her with what it is that she wants or needs, which for me, I'm a little bit confused throughout the movie about what those things are that she wanted and needed. I specifically remember a scene where she's getting to know Russell and they're on the phone talking about all the red flags, all the reasons why he may not be suitable, but yet she falls hard and fast for Russell. It's the third date and he's like, yeah, I want you to be my mom. I want to do this. I want to do that. And there is not that, like how you have that level of discernment or that feeling of like, wait, let's slow down. Let's pump the brakes. Let's see. I think for Robin, she was so interested. I don't want to say desperate, but I want to say very interested and committed to finding love, that some of that stuff went down the drain. She's interested as well because she seems very confident, but despite her confidence, struggles with like self-doubt and that feeling of that fear of being alone and that desire for validation in her, romantic relationships. So our work together would be, helping her to figure out and identify that you are the common denominator in each of these three relationships. You chose to be with, what's his name? Either Michael or Troy. Which one was Troy? Troy was, okay, so Russell.
The one that's throwing the oranges.
That's Michael.
I thought that was Troy.
That's Troy. Okay. Michael was the guy who she worked with. And come on now. I mean, I get it. Love comes.
Was Michael the chubby one?
The chubby one who they had the intimate moment with. And she was very frustrated with his performance. And so in one of the scenes, she says, I closed my eyes and it almost felt like the real thing. So she is fantasizing about another experience while being in an experience with a person at that time. And as her therapist, we would talk about how problematic that is, of needing someone there so bad that you will sacrifice your own wants, your needs, your desires to just simply have someone there that can hold you tight, which is a theme in this movie for most of the women. And then our last step would be working together for her as a single mother. I don't know if y'all remember, but towards the end, she's reading a book about motherhood. Russell comes and he like, yeah, I let my old lady go. And she like, I don't care anything about you and that old lady. I am moving on with my life. And he's asking about this book she's reading. She's being honest, like, I'm with child and I don't want anything to do with you. Now, I have thoughts and feelings about mothers keeping their children away, but I definitely understand her point of view as far as I'm going to do this for me and I don't need your support throughout it. And we would talk about what that looks like with that choice, because many people come to that decision of, I don't want the biological parent to be a part of it. So we would discuss the ins and outs, the pros and cons of raising that child alone, despite the fact that you went into this relationship on your own merit. And you had a baby on your own merit. So now you got to take responsibility for these things. But yeah, that would be my work with her. What about you, ladies?
I really like that she I like when she ended things with, was it Russell, the one that was married. I really like that she stood up for herself and she wasn't letting him just run all over her. So that really stood out to me. There's another part of the movie where she's in bed with Michael and he asks, well, what do you want? Because I want to make that happen, whatever it is. And you can kind of see this light in her eyes. And she's like, she doesn't really want much, just like a couple of kids and a house and a nice neighborhood. And he's like, I can do that. And so, and in that moment, I love that she just really gave herself permission to see something amazing for herself, to have a life that she wanted. And so if I was her therapist, I really would work with her on attracting it, and really setting some boundaries around like who she lets into her life. It's especially the inner sanctuaries of her heart. What about you, Miss Cookie?
What I found interesting about Robin's character is how you can kind of see the mishaps of dating, the dating world, and specifically different ways to settle. So when you settle on your morals and values, you end up with a guy like Russell, which was played by Leon. And he kind of was mysterious. He kind of was, he was the fine one. He was the looker. He was the attraction. He could lay it down. There was no big issues besides the biggest issue. You're married. You're really unavailable. And there's so much that I can't have, but you do give all the things that give instant gratification, that instant fulfillment you can receive, but that long term, it's not given. And then when you move to Troy, which was a different levels of morals and values, and also you just shooting in the dark at this point. Ain't nothing panning out right. You just trying, because it was clearly drugs involved. It was possibly going to be some domestic violence. Like, it was a lot of red flags there. And it was just like, so you knew when he showed up in the middle of the summertime in Florida with a leather vest on, you supposed to get away from him. And you was like, I'ma still try. Come on with the settling stuff. We would have been in therapy like, come on, homegirl to homegirl. Now you know. That's why he throwing them oranges. Duh. But okay. Oh. It is what it is. And then once you get to Michael, what I really appreciate about Michael's character is when you settle on those looks and there is not enough attraction. Yeah, no, the attraction ain't got to be oozing and goozing and runneth over, but it has to be a substantial amount of attraction there for you to base anything. Because yes, he can give you everything he wants. You can even close your eyes and think of somebody else when y'all grinding on each other and get you through it. But at the end of the day, did you think about the confidence you were giving him for being with you? Did you ever think about maybe one day he wouldn't want you and what that would do to your self-esteem? Because I don't think she took that into consideration. She, in a way, bossed him up. She elevated his confidence to believe, you know what? I could possibly date other women like you on your status. I could go for other women. This, that, and the third. Not thinking, oh yeah, she may have been with you not for all the right reasons, but now you finna go run into something where she only wants you for your money. But in a way, Robin kind of facilitated that by settling. When you know good and well, baby, he didn't itch you. He could possibly itch that scratch, but you had to think about another scratcher when he was in there, so it wasn't worth it. And if you were to have, if she was to have a child with him, he would want to take it. Like if it wasn't Leon, it would be a lot of things tied into that. So I really appreciated her character because she was able to show you different levels, and we would have had a lot of conversations in session about these different guys that she brought to therapy.
I think recognizing the red flags is so crucial for this character. And then the other thing that stands out to me is how she communicates about her sexual needs. He was so quick. I mean, he arrived at his destination very fast, and she just did not reach the ultimate destination. And I think that there's a way to communicate that. So that's what I will work with her on, how she can inform him that, she didn't quite make it there to the land of
freedom,
milk and honey.
Okay. You make a really good point that I think a lot of my clients that are women struggle with is in that area. Like you said, it doesn't have to be oozing and goozing with attraction, but when you settle for somebody that you're not necessarily attracted to, there has to be some level of sexual interest, some level of sexual attraction, because that is something that you have to sustain throughout a marriage. And if it's not there in the beginning, or if it's struggling in the beginning, there's no guarantee that it's going to increase or get better. And it's not to say just because it's there at the beginning, it's going to always be there. It is something that you have to work at. And someone like Robin may find it's so much easier to just be with, Russell, because he knows exactly what to do. However, you have to look at the full package of a person. Just because they can do that area well, or that you guys have chemistry there, doesn't mean they have the same moral standards, values, or even vision that you do. So it is a bit of a give and take when it comes to those things, but communication is key when it comes to your intimate life, because it can always get better.
Facts. So let's get into Bernadette. So Bernadette is giving main character energy. So what did you guys think about her character? She is with this man for 10, 11 years, working as his secretary, helping him build this business, and then he leaves her for a white girl.
Okay, so what we not gonna do? Okay, we're gonna stay in the room. We're not gonna single out that she was a white girl, because it just so happened that she was a white girl because he worked in stocks and stuff like that, and it wasn't many people in her whatever. Now, but like you were just doing, Mary J. Blige very much so narrated this pain, this narrative
So well.
Because I don't know if you've heard of the song. I know a lot of people have, but she was able to explain, the pain, the turmoil, the ups and downs of riding with a Black man that is embarking on a field that not many have. When you are relying on your spouse as pivotal roles in the foundation of the building of the business, and the building of the business, and then when you get up there, you forget who's with you shooting in the gym. In the words of Drake, like who is there in the hard times. And I feel like that is what a lot of people think of when people get a lot of money. You forget about the smaller people. You forget about the people that were there in the beginning. I feel like she dealt with the backlash of that. Giving and giving. A lot of women, a lot of Black women sacrifice, give. And although that is a very sad thing, where do you draw the line? Where do you say, actually, things haven't been reciprocated in a real long time, and I'm not okay with this anymore? Because that's when you get into those red lines of crashing out. When you get the snatching everything and putting it in the car, lighting it on fire, cut off all your hair. You move to a lot of different pieces because you've not stuck up for yourself for a very long time. And I feel like sometimes when you don't, like what you said earlier, setting those boundaries and those clear expectations, you'll get a case like this one.
You will. The thing about this movie is you just kind of arrive and park at where those characters are. There's not a lot of flashbacks about what's going on. And if you guys remember in the beginning of the movie, Bernadette is brushing her long, beautiful hair. Husband walks into the room and they are clearly disconnected and have been for a very long time. He says, basically tells her, you're not going to the event. I'm taking my mistress. This was not an introduction into I have a mistress. This was me telling you, this is the next decision I'm making with this mistress. So what this tells me is that you guys have been disconnected in this marriage for a very long time, but y'all are holding together for these children because they are so young. And so I would be so curious to know about the backstory of that relationship.
Yes, because he felt comfortable.
He felt comfortable enough to tell you, I'm going with her to a work event, baby. Like, you can stay home and you can chill. So that tells me that there's some disconnect here. And we'd love to make him out, honestly, to be the devil in this movie. But I am very curious to know how you guys arrived there. She does throw out in the movie, though, because this is one of the big things that typically happens. Sex life goes down the drain. She's able to say, we had sex this many times. Basically, I never told you no, is what it sounds like. But was there a disconnect with emotionality, being able to connect? Was there a disconnect with communication outside of just the kids and work? What is this mistress doing other than being new, pretty, and shiny that was not being performed in this marriage? So our work would be not to bash what your husband did or even excuse your poor behavior of burning up his stuff, but talking about how you have contributed to your own demise, unfortunately. And you got to have a strong client that's ready for that in order to be able to get those answers.
The way she carried all them clothes out of there, she's strong.
Yeah, Angela Bassett got the arms on her. She do, but...
Emotional strength is what we would need to work on.
Ego strength.
One other thing that stood out to me about Bernadette is her connection with the Wesley Snipes character. Mm-hmm. So she leaves the courtroom. It wasn't a great court outcome at that point. And she's dressed to the nines, looking very classy in the bar, and he approaches her and they have this moment of strong emotional connection. They go upstairs to the hotel room, but they don't have sex. They just be with one another. And so that really stood out to me, her need for emotional connection.
Absolutely. That was a pure moment, I think, in the movie, even though literally all of the women, were having involved in affairs in some type of way. This poor man was losing his wife. He found another woman attractive, at the bar, and made a decision to just experience intimacy, just experience what it looks like to just cuddle and be with a person and then be next to you, and you guys feel that suffering of I'm suffering, you're suffering too, and we can kind of suffer here together. That's one of the pure moments in the movie I love.
Also, what I want to bring to the forefront is the wife that was passing was white. So she had to deal with that full circle. And what I really appreciated about that moment that you brought up, when they were just laying in there and they're experiencing that emotional intimacy because they both really needed it, that was the exhale. That exhale, that was the true exhale I feel like the movie was embodying, the exhale of connection. And I feel like every one of them had that moment of exhale where Robin was able to close the door on Russell. She had a moment to exhale. Gloria was dealing with her new guy. She had a moment to exhale. I really think her real exhale was sending her son off to school. And then as far as Savannah, her moment of exhale was understanding, like, I don't need a man. And then them together, it was a deleted scene, or it was a scene that wasn't even supposed to be in the movie, where they were all riding in the car together and they were all singing. I think that was an exhale as well, that every moment where we saw connection, we saw community, I think that was the real moment of waiting to exhale. Yes, we are going through life in all our different phases and places in our journey, but when we connect, when we're able to relate to other people and exhale and understand that, hey, I'm not the only person going through this, that I think that was like the true meaning of the movie itself.
Absolutely. Lastly, I think just my last thoughts about it is this movie was clear evidence that, your sisters and your community can sometimes be something. It's something that is so powerful, to have women that are going to snatch that phone from you and say, stop, don't make that call, that's crazy. You want to cut off all your hair, let's cut it. Girl, he the one that stole your wallet, stop playing these games. Sometimes you need people that, they're going through their own chaos, but they want to see the best in you. They want to see you winning. There was no hatred in this movie, no cattiness in this movie, no jealousy, no competing, none of it. All of them were living their own lives and loving on one another, simultaneously going through their own experiences and supporting each other through it. So I think that's my major takeaway from this movie, is find you a good group of girlfriends, because life is going to life. And sometimes you need a good cry and somebody to say, don't make that decision though. I know you want to, I would do it. Let's call them. Then you got the other friend saying, let's call them, girl. Let me put them on the phone. Then you got the one that's like, hold on, baby. No. So you need a good balance.
Well said. So we want to invite you guys to subscribe to our channel. And if you are needing some support and you know that you can see yourself in one of these characters, we would love to work with you. Go to AtlantaCoupleTherapy.com and we would love to connect.
All righty. See you guys next week.